My name is Graff. I am Director of Programming for the festival, and I am so happy to introduce the world premiere of TYREL. This film is in our U.S. dramatic competition, and with this film being in that section, the director has completed his Sundance bingo card. He has had films in World Dramatic Competition, Next, Spotlight, Midnight, and now U.S. Dramatic Competition. All of his films have searingly authentic performances. This film is no exception. He's enlisted a formidably talented group of actors to bring this story to life. And it's a real pleasure to welcome back to the festival the director of TYREL. Please welcome Sebastián Silva.
Thank you so much, guys, for being here. I'm gonna make it short. I just wanted to point out this coincidence, right? Because Michael Cera couldn't make it, but he sent a lot of love to everybody, and he reminded me that while we were shooting the movie, we always call it a period movie because we shot after the inauguration, right? And then the movie takes place the day of the inauguration, and coincidentally enough, it's today a year anniversary of that. And so the movie takes place on the 20th of January of last year, and it's Saint Sebastian. So be nice with it. It truly is Saint Sebastian Day. So it's a lot of coincidence, and I'm pretty psyched to show this movie, especially in the U.S. dramatic competition, because it really testing the movie, showing it to friends and colleagues, it really resonates the most with Americans. So hope you guys enjoy it, or not. Stay for the Q&A.
I'd like to invite all the cast to come and enjoy this. Also, Jake, please come. And Sofia, the editor.
So before I open up the question to the audience, Sebastian, I've heard you talk about that this was a pretty quick kind of conceiving the film and shooting.
Right.
Can you just kind of explain maybe the schedule, the
Yeah, I mean, the inspiration came while we were in Cuba with a friend, with Nico, the guy, he owns that house, and his real name is Nico, and we were in Cuba, and this idea came about, kind of, somebody feeling highly alienated among people, and on top of that being black, and so the conflict that makes within an audience, without an observer. And then we came back to Brooklyn, and then a week or 2 weeks after that, he had a birthday party at his house, in the Catskills, at his house. And then they had a birthday party, and then by the end of the party, they took a selfie, and it was taken by the only black guy that was there. That was a really close friend, and then they made restaurants together. And then Nico sent me the pictures. He's like, look at this shit. Isn't this a poster for? I'm like, that together, the inspiration that we had in Cuba was enough to go ahead and try to make this movie in no time, only with friends and with no money. And of course things grow, from there, from an idea, it always turns into something a little more complex, but we truly pull it out within a month and a half. We wrote an 80-page screenplay in 10 days, and then I called all of these guys, and then I was told about him, and I only seen his performance, and straight out of Compton, I'm like, that's the guy. I went to see him in New Orleans, and we clicked immediately, and it became a really tight collaboration, because as you can tell, I'm not from here, right? So what the fuck am I saying? And but yeah, the subject of alienation has been in all my work all throughout, and this is not different, and it came to me together highly good. We shot it in 11 days with no breaks, 13 hours a day, and we did have a screenplay, but there was a lot of improv, if you can imagine, and we were really running, and then this came out, which I like. That's the story.
Awesome. So, and this could be Sebastian or anyone from the cast. The film has, it's basically almost every shot, every word, every look is just so kind of this overwhelming pressure that you're feeling. That's playing out in front of the camera. How are you maintaining that behind the camera? How are you keeping that consistent? Is it an intense environment there the entire time?
No, I think I can speak for all the actors when I say this. Seth created this world for us where, for one, we shot in chronological order, which never happens in a film. So you can sort of have your, you can keep this bounce that you sort of understand. And, you know, when you go to sleep one day, you wake up the next day with, you know, the same things on your mind. But we had a really, really good group of guys, and we all stayed in the same house together. And I was still the only black dude. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so, you know, it transferred well, I think. Everybody else was.
Hey guys, I thought the movie was extremely powerful.
I think I know this voice.
Yeah, whatever.
Is that Lena Waithe? Oh my God, everybody give it up for Lena Waithe. Yeah, she went to sky. She's the first black woman to win the Emmy for comedy. She's dope. Give it up for her. Yes, please. She went to shy. It was all tonight, guys. Don't watch that.
Going back, it's like honestly, I think one of the most powerful films I've seen since being here. Extremely powerful. But my question is very interesting that in the movie, the person that Tyler, not person, but like he connects with the dog the most. It's interesting, like the non-human, he sort of like he has a connection with because that dog senses that he's just a person and there's a real connection to each other. Well, how much of that were you trying to capture? I think the dog is almost another character.
Yeah, it's the 10th. It was really purposefully done, actually. I mean, we always wanted a dog, and like, it's not just because, I mean, when you're alienated at a place, like, and you're with people that are talking about something you don't know, and a dog goes by, like a baby, you're like, you get me.
Right.
So I guess that was the dog, like kind of like what the role it played in the beginning for him. Like it was just like a shelter, you know, a shelter from the alienation he was feeling. But other than that, like for me personally, I don't think there's much depth to that dog, other than in the beginning becoming the shelter or an escapade for Tyler. Yeah.
Cool. Any questions? Right here?
Can you just tell us more about the scene with Sylvia and her husband? I mean, you can see by Jason's reaction, something's going on there, but what was it?
It was a lot of complex things. I think when you first meet Sylvia, you see her as the average white woman that lives in the mountains and happy-go-lucky, and
wears purple.
right. But later on, when you meet her, you find out that she's attracted to black men, that she has a son that she obviously didn't give birth to, that she has her own thing going on with him. It's just the stereotype. She's exactly opposite of that. You know what I mean? So I think it was a very fun spin on what it could be like. You know what I mean? And I also threw this thing at her husband, kind of like, "Oh, thank you, my brother." And he's like, "Yeah, get the fuck out of my house." You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think it was just an interesting play on what you think the stereotype could be.
Because it feels like, I mean, to me that selfie represents so many things. Like I've had people said, like black and white people, Americans, you know, that they find the ending to be completely tragic. Like that nothing was solved, nothing was accomplished, and that it just ends with a fucking shitty selfie, and then life goes on as bitter and hypocritical as that. But then other people find that that picture sort of represents more of a hope for more of a camaraderie and understanding of each other. So for me, this movie was always an experiment. I'm not a scientist, but you know that for me, this movie was always something that I wanted to leave in in the audience, sort of each of you guys sort of set of conditioning and prejudices and social stereotypes, you know, and sort of put it out there and just let it live by itself and be chewed up by all of you. Like, and I didn't really have any agenda, and I think that selfie sort of just extend that moment of like, okay, what is this movie telling us? Like, what does this selfie mean? Why seeing the foreground, and why is his face cut up like that? Are they okay? Is he gonna meet Michael and exchange the rugged with the durag for the fur? Like, what the fuck is gonna happen? And I don't know either, you know, but like, it seems to me that they tried, and everybody tried a little, and they were all so flawed, you know, but yeah, that's why I really like also the awkwardness of just like a picture just sitting there for like 4 seconds longer. That you should look at it. Yeah, I mean, like, first I wanted to establish why Tyler would end up in a place like that. You know, like, his house was crowded with family that was coming from Syracuse to like, it's sort of like a MacGuffin, just so we bring Tyler to his place and people are not questioning why is he there, right? So that's number one. And then number two for me, like when he's talking to his girlfriend and then she is religious, right? Or at least she prays. And then she's like, it would be really nice if you're there in spirit. And he's like, yeah, baby, whatever. And then he looks at Instagrams of like these ridiculous videos, you know, and he doesn't care. Like, he really doesn't care about praying or anything. And then later on, when they're trashing Jesus or religion in general, he feels kind of offended for his girlfriend, and then he decides to take offense on that, and like, you wonder, like, does he really care for religion, or like, we just saw him looking at Instagrams while a prayer was going on, so it makes you also question Tyler, which is the idea of the movie. You're questioning everybody, you know, and Tyler is as flawed as the other characters, and like, there is also an hypocrisy to his character, and that's sort of his bit of hypocrisy, I guess, that it's shown there. Yeah.
What did you know about the little voodoo rock thing?
Right.
Wow.
Did that actually come from Cuba? And also, in the beginning, Tyler like was kind of like freaked out by it, and he didn't want to touch it. And then later, when he's like trash, he's all like he's looking for it, and he never finds it, does he? It, like, doesn't.
No, because Pete was scared of it, so he's like, that's not here anymore. Like, they got rid of it. But the story with the Alewa is actually a personal story, which is really unflattering for myself. I'll just share it because why not, right? That's what I'm doing. I went to Cuba. I was in the Havana forest with a friend, and we were walking, and there's a lot of Santeria there, you know. And then I found this rock, with that exact same rock, not the same. And then I took it. Like a fucking tourist, I put it in my pocket and I walk away. And my friend is like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, this is gonna be over, your life is over. I went to some restaurants and I would put the idol on top of the table, and I started growing kind of affection towards this object. And then people in Cuba were like, my God, dude, like, you need to throw it in the ocean, what are you doing? Bring it back where you found it. Then other people would be like, no, he found you. Like, you need to take him for a ride. So I took it, I would take a cab and I would put it out the window like, are we having fun? And then I took it back to Brooklyn and I put it like, you have to put it like somewhere that is looking at your door, and put candy because it's a child spirit. And I did that, and then every time I walk in, I'm like, I don't know about this guy. And then that year, I had a really big movie that fell apart, and it was a nightmare. And it was like what really gave me the strength to just call my friends and make a movie this way. But the movie fell apart, it was shed, like nobody kissed me, it was really bad. And then, dude, I just decided to bring the Alewa back to Cuba. And I went to Cuba, and I put the Alewa right where I found it. And then I came back and made this movie.
Let's do a final round of applause to the